Have you ever wondered why the more you try to show her how much you care, the more she seems to pull away? Have you ever felt that sickening drop in your stomach when you realize that your kindness, your availability, and your desperate need to be good are not being rewarded with love, but are being met with a cold, polite, and devastating indifference? Why is it that the immense ocean of your affection feels like a burden to her, while the silence of a man who offers nothing but his own presence seems to draw her in like a moth to a flame? You send the message and you wait. You wait for a minute, then an hour, then a day. And in that waiting, you are not just losing time, you are losing your soul. You are bleeding out your power, drop by drop, into the screen of a phone that does not care about you. You look in the mirror and you see a good man, a man who has done everything right, a man who listened to his mother, to society, to the movies, and yet you are the one sleeping alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering what secret code you missed. The truth is not that you are not enough. The truth is that you are too much. You are too available, too transparent, too safe, and too desperate. You have become a beggar in the kingdom of desire, and kings do not sleep with beggars. Before we descend into the abyss of what actually drives human attraction and the dark psychology that governs the female unconscious, I need to make one thing clear. This video is not for the tourist. It is not for the man looking for a quick pickup line or a trick to manipulate someone into liking him. If you are looking for comfort, click away. Go watch a cat video. Go back to the illusion that if you are just nice enough, the world will owe you sex and love. But if you are ready to face the brutal reality of your own behavior, if you are ready to kill the boy inside you who performs for applause so that the man can finally be born, then stay. And if you are one of the few who can withstand the weight of this truth, press the like button right now. Not for the algorithm, but as a pact with yourself that you are awake. Subscribe if you dare to walk this path of shadows where we dismantle the lies you were raised on. Most of you won't. Most of you will run back to the comfort of your victimhood. But for the rare few who remain, let's begin. Niccolò Machiavelli, the man who understood power better than any other human being in history, wrote a sentence that has been terrified and misunderstood for centuries. He said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved because love is preserved by the link of obligation which, owing to the baseness of men, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails." Now replace the word fear with respect and reverence, and you have the key to the lock that has been keeping you out of the hearts of the women you desire. Machiavelli wasn't telling you to be a tyrant. He was telling you that human beings are fickle. He was telling you that if you build your castle on the foundation of their validation, you are building on sand. The moment you need her approval to feel like a man, you have handed her the knife and bared your throat. And contrary to what you think, she doesn't want to hold the knife. She hates holding the knife. She resents you for making her the judge of your worth. The modern man is suffering from a disease of the spirit. It is a disease of validation. From the moment you were born, you were taught that love is a transaction. Be a good boy and you get a cookie. Get good grades and you get praise. Be polite and you get a smile. You internalize this deep into your nervous system. You believe that if you just input enough goodness tokens into a woman, she will dispense sex and intimacy. This is what we call the nice guy contract. It is a covert, manipulative, and dishonest way of living. You are not being nice because you are good. You are being nice because you want something. You are trading your compliance for her affection. And she smells it. Women have been breeding for hundreds of thousands of years to detect weakness, to detect the subtle stench of a man who does not own himself. When you text her too much, when you apologize for things you didn't do, when you change your opinion to match hers, you are screaming to her evolutionary biology, "I am weak. I am unsafe. I cannot protect you because I cannot even protect my own boundaries." Let's go deeper into the psychology of this dynamic. Why does validation destroy desire? Desire is the tension between the known and the unknown. It is the spark that leaps across the gap of uncertainty. When you seek validation, you are trying to close that gap. You are trying to dissolve the tension. You want reassurance because you are anxious. You want her to tell you that you are okay. But the moment she reassures you, the tension dies. And when the tension dies, desire dies with it. You become a known quantity. You become safe, predictable, and boring. You become her brother, her therapist, her fan, but never her lover. Machiavelli warned the prince against becoming contemptible. And there is nothing more contemptible to a woman than a man who needs her permission to exist. A man who apologizes for his own desires. A man who is constantly checking the temperature of the room to see if it is safe to be himself. Think about the men who have captivated women throughout history. Think about the archetypes that appear in literature and film. The outlaw, the vampire, the detective, the rogue. What do they all have in common? They do not seek approval. They have a mission, a purpose, a drive that is independent of the woman. They are on a path and she is invited to join them, but she knows deep in her bones that if she leaves, he will continue on his path. He will grieve, yes, but he will not collapse. This capacity for solitude, this ability to be whole without her, is the most powerful aphrodisiac in the world. It signals that you are a high-value resource. It signals that you have options even if you are not exercising them. It signals that you are the prize. But you, in your anxious attachment, you flip the script. You act as if she is the prize and you are the lucky contestant just happy to be on stage. You place her on a pedestal and from that height she can only look down on you. The search for validation is actually a form of narcissism. It sounds contradictory, doesn't it? You think you are being selfless by focusing on her, but you are actually obsessed with yourself. You are obsessed with how you are being perceived. Did I say the right thing? Does she like me? Did I mess up? It is all I. You are not seeing her. You are using her as a mirror to reflect your own ego. You are using her to fill a void that was left by your father, by your childhood, by a society that stripped you of your initiation into manhood. You are asking a woman to do a job that she is not qualified to do, to tell you that you are a man. That is not her job. That is your job. And until you accept that responsibility, you will be a slave to every mood swing, every delayed text, and every glance of every woman you meet. Machiavelli teaches us about the concept of necessity. He says that men work best when they are driven by necessity. In the realm of attraction, you must become a necessity, not a luxury. But how do you become a necessity? By being scarce. By being valuable. By being the one who provides something that she cannot get anywhere else. And what is the rarest commodity in the modern world? It is not money. It is not looks. It is presence. True, unshakable, masculine presence. The ability to stand in the storm of her emotions, or the storm of life, and not be moved. When you seek validation, you are moving. You are shaking. You are vibrating with anxiety. You are showing her that you are not a rock, but a leaf blowing in the wind. Let's talk about the shadow. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who went deeper into the human soul than perhaps anyone else, spoke of the shadow as the unknown, dark side of the personality. He said, "No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." The reason you are seeking validation is that you are afraid of your own shadow. You are afraid of your capacity for aggression, for selfishness, for danger. You have repressed these things to be a nice guy. But a man without a shadow is not a man. He is a projection. Women crave the dangerous man who has himself under control. They do not crave the harmless man. If you are harmless, you are not virtuous. You are just weak. A rabbit is not virtuous because it doesn't eat the wolf. It is simply a rabbit. You must integrate your monster. You must realize that you are capable of walking away. You are capable of hurting. You are capable of being selfish. And when you know this about yourself and you choose to be kind, then your kindness has weight. Then your kindness is a gift, not a bribe. When you stop seeking validation, you become dangerous. Dangerous in the most beautiful sense of the word. You become unpredictable. You become sovereign. Sovereignty is the state of being the supreme ruler of your own internal kingdom. When you are sovereign, you do not ask for tribute from foreign lands to keep your economy running. You generate your own value. You enjoy the company of women, you love them, you desire them, but you do not need them to breathe. This shift in energy is palpable. It is subcommunication. You don't have to say, "I don't need you." You just have to exist in a way that proves it. When you are willing to lose her, you are finally free to love her. As long as you are afraid to lose her, you are only loving your own safety. This brings us to the concept of silence. In a noisy world, silence is the ultimate power move. The man who talks too much, who explains himself, who floods the chat with paragraphs of feelings, is a man who is leaking power. He is trying to control the narrative because he doesn't trust the reality. Silence is confidence. Silence creates a vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. If you have the courage to be silent, to withdraw your attention, to focus on your mission, she will feel that vacuum. And she will move to fill it. She will wonder about you. What is he thinking? Why isn't he chasing me? Who is he? This wonder is the seed of obsession. You cannot negotiate desire. You cannot talk her into finding you attractive. You can only create the space for her to discover her own attraction to you. And that space is created by your absence, not your presence. I know what you are thinking. But if I pull back, won't she forget me? Won't she move on to the next guy? This is the fear of the beggar. The beggar thinks that if he stops begging, the passers-by will stop noticing him. But you are not a beggar. You are the king in exile. If she forgets you because you stopped entertaining her for 2 days, then she never saw you to begin with. She was only consuming your attention. And you should be grateful she is gone. You are clearing the dead wood from the forest so that something new can grow. This is the Machiavellian pruning. You must be ruthless with your own time and energy. You must treat your attention like gold, not like confetti that you throw at every parade. There is a biological imperative here as well. Hypergamy. Women are evolutionarily wired to seek the best possible mate. A mate who signals status, competence, and resources. But the greatest resource is genetic and psychological fitness. If you are chasing her, you are signaling that she is higher status than you. You are signaling that you are the lower value party in the exchange. Why would she want to mate with a male who admits, through his behavior, that he is beneath her? She wants a man she can look up to. Not physically but spiritually. A man whose frame is stronger than hers. When you seek validation, you are entering her frame. You are playing by her rules. And in her world, she is the queen and you are the jester. You must invite her into your world. But to do that, you must have a world. You must have a life that is interesting, challenging, and fulfilling without her. Let's discuss the clown aspect. How many times have you found yourself performing? Making jokes you didn't think were funny, agreeing with politics you don't believe in, nodding your head like a bobblehead doll just to keep the conversation going? It is exhausting, isn't it? It is a performance that drains your soul. And the worst part is she sees right through it. Women are the masters of social calibration. They can read micro-expressions better than you can read a book. She knows when you are faking it. And she despises it. She despises it because it places the burden of leadership on her. If you are following her lead, she has to be the man. And she resents you for forcing her to be the man. She wants to relax. She wants to surrender. But she can only surrender to a man who is solid enough to catch her. You cannot catch her if you are running after her. The turning point comes when you embrace the no. The power of no is the foundation of masculine dignity. Being able to say no to her, to the world, and most importantly, to your own impulses. The impulse to check your phone. The impulse to stalk her Instagram. The impulse to send that double text. When you say no to these impulses, you are building a muscle. The muscle of will. Nietzsche spoke of the will to power. This is not about power over others, it is about power over yourself. Self-mastery. The man who masters himself can conquer a city. The man who cannot master his own thumbs cannot even conquer a date. The mechanism of this destruction is subtle. It starts with a small compromise. You cancel your gym session to see her. You skip your reading to talk to her on the phone until 3 a.m. about nothing. You stop seeing your friends. You make her the sun of your solar system. And slowly gravity shifts. You lose your orbit. You crash into the sun and you burn. And as you burn, you scream, "But I gave you everything." And she looks at the pile of ash that used to be a man and says, "I never asked for everything. I just asked for you." But you gave her everything except you. You gave her a reflection of what you thought she wanted. You gave her a mirror, and eventually she got bored of looking at herself. There is a particular kind of loneliness that comes from this realization. It is not the loneliness of being alone. It is the loneliness of having abandoned yourself. You are estranged from your own center. You are a ghost in your own machine. And this is why you feel empty. It is not because she left. It is because you left. You left your post. You deserted the watchtower of your life to go beg at the gates of another. And now you must make the long, cold walk back to your fortress. I remember a specific night. It was raining, the kind of cold, relentless rain that soaks into your bones. I was sitting on the floor of my apartment. It was 3:42 a.m. The screen of my phone was the only light in the room. I had sent a message 6 hours earlier. A message that was witty, carefully crafted, designed to be perfect. And it sat there. Read. No reply. I remember the physical sensation in my chest. A tightening, a panic, a pathetic hope that maybe she fell asleep, maybe her battery died. I was bargaining with reality. And then, in the silence of that room, I caught a glimpse of myself in the reflection of the dark window. I saw a man huddled, waiting, dependent. I saw a slave, and a wave of nausea hit me. Not anger at her, but a profound, terrifying disgust at myself. I realized that I had handed over the keys to my emotional stability to a person who didn't even know I was suffering. I was an addict, and her attention was the needle. That night I didn't cry. I didn't smash the phone. I just turned it off, and I sat in the dark. For the first time in years, I sat with the pain without trying to fix it, without trying to escape it. I let the silence crush me, and in that crushing something broke. The shell of the nice guy cracked, and underneath there was something else. Something colder, something harder, something real. I realized that I would rather be alone for the rest of my life than to ever feel that pathetic again. I made a vow to the darkness that I would never again run after something that did not want to be caught. This is the Machiavellian moment. The moment you realize that the world is not a nursery. It is a landscape of power dynamics, and you have been playing the victim. You have been hoping that your weakness would be interpreted as virtue. But nature does not reward weakness. It eats it. To reclaim your power, you must become willing to be the villain in her story. You must be willing to be the asshole who didn't call back immediately. You must be willing to be the cold man who prioritized his work over her drama. You must be willing to be misunderstood. Because the only alternative is to be a slave who is understood as a doormat. The paradox is that when you make this shift, when you truly stop caring about the outcome changes. When you stop chasing, you stop running away from yourself. You become stationary. You become a massive object with its own gravity. And suddenly she starts to orbit you. She senses the shift. She senses that the energy cord has been cut. She feels the drop in attention. And she reaches out. Hey stranger. Are you okay? I miss you. And here is the danger. The test. If you jump back into your old patterns, if you wag your tail like a happy puppy because she finally threw you a bone, you lose. You lose instantly. You must maintain the frame. You must receive her attention not as water in a desert, but as a complement to your already full life. You must look at her not with hunger, but with appreciation. This is what Machiavelli meant by virtue. It is not moral virtue. It is skill, prowess, strength, excellence. It is the ability to impose your will on fortune. Fortune is a woman, Machiavelli said, and she favors the bold. She favors the man who commands her, not the one who begs her. This sounds harsh to modern ears. We are told to be soft. We are told to be vulnerable. And there is a place for vulnerability. But vulnerability without strength is just leaking. You can only open your armor if you have armor to begin with. If you are just soft flesh, you are not being vulnerable. You are being slaughtered. So, how do you practically apply this? It starts with the diet of attention. You must fast. You must stop consuming the junk food of easy validation. Stop watching pornography, which is the ultimate form of seeking validation from pixels that don't know you exist. Stop scrolling endlessly. Stop initiating contact with people who give you dry responses. Withdraw your energy. Pull it back into your core. Focus on your body. Lift heavy things until your hands shake. Read books that make your brain hurt. Build a business. Create art. Do things that build objective value. When you know you have value, you don't need to ask for it. You know it. It is a fact like gravity. You must become comfortable with being disliked. The need to be liked is a prison. If you are free, some people will hate you. Good. Let them. Their hatred is a sign that you have edges, that you stand for something. that you are not a fluid, shapeless amoeba trying to fit into every container. The prince is often hated by those who envy his power or by those who cannot manipulate him, where their dislike is a badge of honor. It means you are no longer under their control. There is a concept in Stoicism called amor fati, love of fate. Accept the reality of your dating life exactly as it is. Stop wishing she was different. Stop wishing you were different. Look at the board. Look at the pieces, and make the best move. The best move is almost always to strengthen your position, not to attack an entrenched enemy. Strengthen your mind. Strengthen your finances. Strengthen your emotional control. When you are a fortress, you don't need to chase. People come to the fortress for safety, for trade, for leadership. Be the fortress, and remember the concept of the void. In Eastern philosophy, the void is not empty. It is pregnant with potential. When you are silent, you are channeling the void. You are becoming a screen upon which she projects her fantasies. When you talk, you break the projection. When you overshare, you destroy the mystery. Keep your cards close to your vest. Let her guess. Let her wonder. Let her work for the information. We value what we work for. If you give yourself away for free, you are cheap. If she has to earn your story layer by layer, you become a treasure map. The journey from the nice guy to the sovereign man is a painful one. It involves the death of the ego. It involves killing the hope that someone else will come to save you. No one is coming. No woman can save you from your own lack of purpose. In fact, she is looking for you to save her from her boredom, from her lack of direction. If you look to her for direction, you are both lost. You must take the helm. You must steer the ship into the dark waters, even if you are afraid. Especially if you are afraid. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the face of fear. Look at your phone right now. Is there a message you are waiting for? Delete the thread. Delete the number if you have to. Cut the cord. Feel the pain of that severance. Feel the anxiety spike. And then breathe through it. Watch the anxiety rise and fall like a wave. Do not act on it. Just watch it. In that gap between the feeling and the action, your freedom lies. That is where the prince is born. In the pause. In the refusal to react. In the absolute, terrifying stillness of self-containment. You've been told that love is about merging. But you cannot merge if you have no self. You must first be a distinct, solid, separate entity. Only then can you connect. Otherwise, you are just a parasite looking for a host. And parasites are always swatted away. Be the host. Be the source. Be the sun, burning with your own nuclear fusion, indifferent to whether the planets spin around you or fly off into space. Because you know that your gravity is real. You know that your heat is real. And eventually, life aligns around the source of heat. This is the secret that Machiavelli knew, that Nietzsche knew, that the great seducers and leaders of history knew. Power is not taken, it is assumed. You assume the position. You stop asking for permission. You stop apologizing for your existence. You look the world in the eye and you say, I am here. And you wait for the world to adjust to you. And now we reach the end of this transmission. If you are still here, if you have listened to this relentless deconstruction of your ego without running away, then perhaps there is hope for you. Perhaps you are one of the rare ones who is ready to wake up. Most people have already clicked off. They are back to their comforting lies. But you are here, standing on the edge of the abyss. The question is, will you jump? Will you let the old version of you die? The version that begs, that pleads, that performs? It is a painful death. It feels like you are losing everything. But remember, you can only lose what you never really had. You did not have her. You had a fantasy. You did not have dignity. You had a mask. Let it burn. Let it all burn to the ground. And in the ashes, find the diamond of your true self. The self that needs nothing. The self that is complete. The self that is dangerous, silent, and irresistibly magnetic. I'm not going to ask you to like this video. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. You know what you need to do. If this message resonated with the frequency of your own suppressed truth, then you will take action. You will join us in the shadows where the real work happens. Or you will go back to sleep. The choice as always is yours. But know this, once you have seen the strings that control you, you can never truly be a happy puppet again. You are awake now, and the insomnia of the awakened is better than the dreams of the slave. See you in the abyss.